going on. If they find this on a live feed, they'll actually get a link to it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hello, welcome to this installment of Poetic License just hours before the Super Bowl. Hi, you guys. It's great to see all of you here. I'm not recording the entire thing. I'm letting you guys have your space. And if you want to record anything, our Zoom host, John F. McMillan, could set that up with you guys, but I was giving you your space for that. I am live streaming this now for myself so that I can look up and announce to anybody that if they want to be a part of the Poetic License open mic, they can actually just do a search for the Poetic License event page on Facebook. And it'll have the date, and you just follow the link and you can just join us. And as I said, our host, thank you again very much, John F. McMillan, will be able to log you in, and it would be great to hear anything you've got to say. Do you guys want to do rounds of 3? How does that sound for us, guys, instead of doing rounds of 2? Sound good with you guys? Groovy. And I think I said before everybody showed up, I'm like, well, I'm going to make a point to not wear anything football shirts or anything. I've got a few, not for any teams that are in the Super Bowl, but I do have a helmet football, or not helmet, a football whistle, so I can actually celebrate that way or something. That's as close as I'm getting to football for you guys right now. I've got the list here for you guys, and I will give out who is the next person, and also as some people used to say in Chicago, they will say the poet on deck, that poet that's coming after the next poet, so that you can know your order. Right now I've got John, after I do a reading here, John F. McMillan. I've got Glenn, Teresa, Richard, Trevor. Hi, Trevor. If Trevor needs more time because you might be leaving early, you are always welcome to it. Michelle, Brian, Tom, and Susan is my order. I'm telling you that right now, and I'll give info about it as it comes up. And hi, I hope everyone's doing well. And up north, and I hope everyone's doing weather-wise, because we're in Austin and it's a tad bit warmer here. But I hope everybody's holding out with the weather right now. So I'm going to read. I've got to figure out what, I had no idea what I was going to read yet. So I'm going to do a long start. I'm going to do a long start for the start of things. I'm going to read 3 poems from the February 2021 release of Down in the Dirt magazine. I run 2 magazines with Scarce Publications. This is called Eclipsed. And I believe, I don't know, John, you were at the Open Mic Paris, Open World Online. I don't know how excited that host was that his poem title was actually the title for this book, because he's got a poem in this book. So I said, you guys better hype that up at the open mic while you're there. I will read... Should I do a long one? This is just me running late. Sorry about that. I'll do 3 shorter ones for you for this, from the end of the book for this round for you guys. They are related to, the first 2 are related to family somehow. This first one is called Visiting and Seeing the Signs. My grandmother was moving away. I was out of town, so I could only call. And when I got on the phone, I told her I would be visiting where she was moving to. I could see her in maybe 6 months. We didn't talk much as I got older, so right about when we were going to get off the phone, she said, "I love you." And I said, "I love you too." I never get this way, but after I hung up that phone, I cried. After that, for 3 days, when I would walk down the street or look out every window, I would see clouds of black birds and feathers in the darkened skies. Every time I walked outside, a biblical apocalypse swarmed over me, and for the life of me, I didn't know why. After 3 days, I went back to visit my siblings, living only a 2-hour drive away, before I took a flight to see my parents. And when I walked through the door to see my sister, my father was there. I walked down to that marble-tiled floor to meet him and hug, and when we embraced, I said, "Grandma's dead." And then, as soon as I did, because that heaviness was just giving me the heavens were just giving me the signs for days while she was fighting for her life, and fought her for doctors to check her again and again because they couldn't listen to an old white woman for her symptoms weren't treated, and she died before I came back. I know I cried for her days ago, but I will cry for her again and again. And now I will not question when I am shown the signs again. Grandma. Sorry. Sorry. About Grandma, that's moody. How weird. And it's funny that I've got bookmarks, and they'll be references for pizza places or whatever, and this is John's newest wine. It's a Cabernet. It's called Wolf Creek, and it's funny to look through and see these weird bookmarks that I've got in these things as well. But this next one is a dreams poem. The first open mic I ran in Chicago was first run by a man named David Rubin, and he would do a series and I've got these things for dreams and I'll share these poems with you. And so in honor of him, I started doing that with some of them, and this was a recent one, Dreams 3/21/19, called Only Remember Fragments. I'm sorry, I only remember fragments, bits and pieces. But he was still alive, and he was showing to me this one painting from her. It was a self-portrait. I barely remember seeing any of her paintings when she was alive. She hid them away. I don't know what happened to any of her paintings after she died, but here he was, still alive, showing me her self-portrait. I couldn't help but gaze. It wasn't like any other paintings I barely remember seeing from her. The painting was very mod. Her hair was very 60s, and the only thing I remember seeing were these strong lines in deep blue. I can't even remember if the painting was even finished because I was too mesmerized by the bold blue brushstrokes outlining her face and outlining her form. I don't even remember her looking that way, but then again, I wasn't alive in the 60s. And as I said, I only remember fragments, but all I remember was being mesmerized at this painting and thinking that it was so beautiful. I never bother saying in that poem that's a poem or a painting that my mother did. And my father, after he had died, I had this dream that my father showing me this painting for my mother, and I'm like, she didn't paint like this. What is this? This is the craziest thing. So I didn't even bother saying who it was in it, but I thought that this would be a fun one for the last piece that I read before I pass on to John F. McMullen. And this is a poem that's called Let Me Have My Space. Seems like a good ending one. And sometimes if I have a poem and I would have an Instagram image for it to be able to pull it off, I'm going to see if I could show it for different cameras or something. But I'll try to include them in a book as well. It's just me sitting in the wilderness and it's just let me have my space. So this is a poem for you to end off this intro round. Just let me have my space. All these years, it was just me and my dad. He taught me to trust no one, to be self-reliant. You would call it staying off the grid. But my dad knew what was best. He taught me to read. He knew that government schools only teach you what they want you to know. And when I first saw my dad shoot a gun, I knew this was my only life I'd ever lead. So I stayed with him. He was all I knew. My dad was like my God. So I don't know who was right and who was wrong. Maybe people in uniform actually came over to our land, and when they did, that's when they had no right to actually barge in. Oh, wait, I guess I'm now defining who's in the wrong here. I'm sorry, but after all this time and after all that has recently happened, I don't know if I want to keep. I just know that I want to keep our privacy, and I don't know if keeping our privacy is reason enough for shooting my intruders, or if it's okay that we just want to get so exasperated with the public that we'll reject the public law with our own violence to stop the spread of the public insanity in the first place as unknowing, unsuspecting idiot masses. All I know is that I like my space. The trees, the river, the sun, and the weather. Just leave me alone. You and your modern views, they aren't welcome here. Just let me have my space. She says in a Zoom meeting with multiple cameras and all this technology stuff, right? But there's a bunch of different pieces of this book, and I thought that would be a good one for me to end up with for you for the ending of the first round. So I will let you guys know, I said the round before, the next poet up is always going to be John F. McMullen, and the poet on deck after him is Glenn. So please unmute yourself, John. Thank you so much, and take it away.